Enid Blyton's gift book of bedtime stories. Three brown eggs. Billy found the eggs when he was coming home from school. He heard a noise in the hedge and went to see what it was. Out scuttled a hen clucking angrily. She made Billy jump. "Why are you hiding in the hedge, Henny Penny?" said Billy. Then he knew, for there in the grass were three brown eggs. "Why, you naughty hen, you're laying eggs away from the farm," said Billy. He looked at the eggs. He took them carefully into his hands. A horrid little thought came into his mind. Old Mrs. Lanny at the cottage would give him 2 pence each for these eggs. That would be 6 pence altogether. And 6 pence would buy that top he wanted at the toy shop. It was a fine top, painted red and yellow, and Billy knew it would spin better than any other top he had ever had. Nobody but himself would know where he had found the eggs. He set off towards Mrs. Lanny's cottage. Then he stopped. It wasn't right to say nobody would know. He, Billy himself, would know. And I should know I was a horrid, mean, dishonest boy, he thought. Even if Mummy and Daddy never knew, I should always know that. And I should think of it in bed at night and feel horrid. Well, I just won't. I'll take the eggs to Mrs. Barley, the farmer's wife, and tell her where I found them. He turned right round and went to the farm. He knocked on the farmhouse door, and Mrs. Barley told him to come in. "Why, it's Billy," she said, smiling. "What do you want, dear?" "I found these eggs in the hedge, Mrs. Barley," said Billy. "A hen has been laying away, so I brought them to you." "Thank you, that's kind of you," said Mrs. Barley. "But really I have so many eggs just now, with all my hens laying well, that I just don't want them. So if you would like them to your mother, you can have them, dear." "Oh no, I would better not have them," said Billy. "They are yours." "What a nice, honest little boy you are," said Mrs. Barley. "Well, it's true they are my eggs, so if I want to, I can give them to you, can't I? You take them home to your mother." "Well, thank you very much," said Billy. "I will." He went off with the three brown eggs. He couldn't bear to think that he had very nearly stolen them. And now here he was, with the three eggs given to him. He did feel ashamed of that horrid little idea he had had. He went home and found his mother in the garden. "Mummy, look at these lovely eggs," he called. "I found them in the hedge. One of Mrs. Barley's hens has been laying away." "But, darling, you must take them to the farm then," cried his mother. "I did," said Billy. "And Mrs. Barley said she had so many eggs she didn't want these, so she gave them to me for you." "I'm so glad you took them to the farm," said his mother. "I might have known you wouldn't do anything else, Billy. Thank you, dear. I'll give you 2 pence for each of the eggs. That'll be for your trouble in taking them all the way to the farm and then all the way home again." Well, there was that 6 pence after all. But what a nice way of having it. A much nicer way than getting it from Mrs. Lanny in return for selling her eggs that weren't mine to sell, thought Billy. "Here's 6 pence," said Mummy. But then somehow Billy felt he couldn't take it. No, he didn't want it. It was a spoiled 6 pence. 6 pence that he might have been ashamed of. "I don't want it, Mummy. Thank you," he said. "Don't be silly," said Mummy. "You deserve it for doing the right thing and being a nice, sensible boy. I am pleased with you." So Billy had to take the 6 pence. He went off with it in his pocket. He walked all the way down to the village and looked in the toy shop window. The red and yellow top was still there, but he didn't buy it. He went into the shop next door and brought a bag of his mother's favorite sweets. She would like those. I must make up for that horrid thought I had, said Billy to himself. I'll wipe it out with something nice. That's the best thing to do. It was, of course, it always is. But not many boys and girls would think of that, would they? That's not quite the end of the story. When Billy's aunt came to visit him next day, what do you think she brought him as a present? A red and yellow top. I feel pleased about that. Don't you? The end.